Good day everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today's tutorial on AGIT CodeWorks, we are going to be looking at one thing: front end. That means the user interface. That's the front end of the application, the part of the application where you learn how to make things look, a bit nice in the eye. Okay, now let me say something first of all. To be able to be a good PHP developer, that is build applications that look really good using PHP, the knowledge of HTML and CSS is needed. By HTML and CSS, I mean hypertext markup language and cascading styling sheets for those who don't know. That would mean that we are going to dedicate the next two videos to cleaning up our front end skills. Okay, I'm going to just walk you through basic user interface design. Alright, and we are going to still look at how we can now integrate it later on to a PHP backend. Okay, so if you already have knowledge of HTML, this is probably going to be ridiculously easy for you, but I have to go through this because this is a beginner's course. I'm supposed to move us from zero to hero. Okay, so this is some of the small stuff you have to know to be able to use PHP meaningfully, and that's front-end development or user interface design. As you can see an example here, this is the user interface for a login page. So what are we going to achieve in this particular course, apart from the fact that we'll be touching HTML and CSS? First of all, we are going to introduce HTML for simple user interface, adding stuff to your application page using HTML. We'll get into adding pictures, which will also represent a way to add icons, logos, any kind of images, probably for a landing page of an application. And then we're going to see how we can make things now look a bit prettier using CSS. Okay, CSS, which is our cascading styling sheet, is simply a language completely dedicated to making HTML look awesome. Okay, and we're going to look at something as simple as using anchor tags to link multiple application pages on your web application screen. Okay, that's anchor tags. All right, so we are going to be building something that looks like this. This is a simple HTML CSS interface for something like an online kitchen or an online restaurant. This is just for demonstrational purpose, so we'll just see how we can style all this, put all this together. Okay, add order now, contact us, hover effects, font styling, color styling, and so on and so forth, and maybe a link to visit our Facebook page, and so on and so forth. Something pretty simple. By the next tutorial, we're going to be tidying up user interface design, and then we're going to start looking at the backend part. Okay, so let's cut the chase quickly. Let us look at how we'll get this done. So first of all, I go to my htdocs folder. If you don't know already how we've gotten here, you can visit our previous tutorials and see how to set up the environment. So the htdocs folder is basically where all our applications are. So let's do something on front end. So I'll just create a simple folder here. We'll call it front end. Alright, so this will be a simple demonstrational application to see how the front end works. Okay, this is also a good idea to introduce yourself to hypertext markup language and CSS. So I open up front end, then I go to Notepad++ or VS Code, depending on the editor of your choice. Open it up. Okay, release all this. Okay, so now this is my Notepad++. So I create a new file. Okay, then to save the file, I save it as. I go back to my htdocs, go back to my front end, and then save the file as index.php. So this is where we are going to start now our journey to build a simple user interface just like this that we have here. Okay, so let's do that together. All right, so get your Notepad opened up and let's code along together. Okay, so here we are, front end. All right, we open this up. All right, let's start. So first things first, the front end code has the first attribute in the structure would be what we call the HTML tag. I'll make this a bit bigger. The HTML tag. So how does HTML tag work? You open up a tag that looks like this, something like this. Type HTML inside it and close it this way. Of course, this is for those who don't have any previous knowledge of hypertext markup language. Okay, so this is HTML tag. We open this tag here, we close it up here. Okay, now the tag, just like the human body, the tag has a head and a body. So let's look at it that way. Like a human body, HTML interface would have a head and then a body. So we put up a head. This is the head tag. Right. Okay, and then under here we have the body. The body tag opens here, the body tag closes here. Now please, let's take note about the structure of HTML pages. Most tags that open up have to have a closure. So Notepad++ does a good job of showing us where this element closes. So HTML opens up here, closes here. The head element opens here, closes here. The body element opens here, closes here. The body is going to be the part of the code where we put the rest of the body of our web application, while the header will serve as instructions can be given at the header. This is where you link your CSS file and they do a couple of other stuff. We'll get into all that with time. Okay, so first things first, this page will be a simple HTML page. Let's add a title to it. The title goes into the header, title /title, and then here we are going to have something that looks like, since it's an online restaurant, let's just call it online restaurant. This is our online restaurant. Okay, that's the title of the application. That means that's what appears at the top of our web application page. So now in the body, the first tag we'll look at. Now HTML basically, for the most part, is about tags. Let me just put it out there. The number of tags you know how to use with their properties is directly proportional to how much HTML you can use. It's just as simple as that. So the first tag we look at is something we call the H1 tag. It's for adding header text. H1. Okay, H1 is for adding text, bold text to your site. So let's just put something that looks like this: online rest. All right, almost got the spelling of restaurant wrong there. All right, so online restaurant, that's the header tag. So something as simple as this. Let's see what this page will look like. Remember, the application name is FrontEnd inside the htdocs folder. So that means to launch it here on our browser, we're going to have localhost /front-end. So bam, this is our page. We have an online restaurant. This is going to serve as the interface for a PHP application. So online restaurant here, which is the header tag. All right, so let's do some more modifications to it. Okay, now the header tag and most other tags, all other tags, they have properties and attributes which are written just right here in between these two tags, in between these markup tags. That's where the properties go. So H1 tag has a property called align. Remember, this course is serving as a template for you to understand how front-end interface works. Okay, how front-end works. Not a full-blown HTML course, but to give us just enough to build our PHP application. All right. Okay, so now center. So centering it simply means that when I go back to my page, do a refresh, online restaurant comes to the center. Pretty easy. This is the code. Pretty easy. All right. Okay, now second thing we'll add, let's add the image. Let us add the image. The image. All right, so we're going to be adding the image. All right, first of all, I will click on file, open in the exact same location as my index.php, which is the landing page for the application. I am going to open a folder, call it images. So to say all the images that go into this application stays here. All right, so that's it. So let me just find a picture. This is the picture we used. This is the image we used on the slideshow I shared. I want to add it to the application, more like it is going to be part of my landing page. So I right click, copy this image, come right here, images, paste it here. All right, so I have done. Please, the location of this image is very important. This is my index.php, the landing page. That is this interface you're looking at here. Then in the same location I have images folder, while inside the images folder there's a PNG file, an image called mypics.png. You could name the image anything you wanted, but for clarity and consistency you can give it the same name as mine. All right, let's add the image on this interface here. Start to put this image right here. All right, so let's do that. So here images go with the image tag or img tag. I'll call it img. It's actually written img, the img tag. So the img has a property called src. Are you noticing the consistency in structure? So a tag, a property, an attribute. Tag, property, and attribute. So the src property would be the location of the image, so which will be images slash mypics, right? Yes, mypics.png. Yeah, that's the name. All right, so next thing we want is the size of the image is a little bit too big, but resizing is also possible within our HTML file. So let me say the width of the image will take, let's say, 100% of my screen from the width. Now this could also be, I could make this, let's say 1000 pixel. That's still okay. Okay, let's do that first of all. 1000 pixel, while the height of the image would be start with 450 pixel. That should be okay. Now, by the way, this is the width of the image. That is the width, like horizontal size, okay, pixel, while the height is 450 pixel. If you wanted to know, because of different screen sizes, if you wanted to know the maximum width of your own screen or what it could take, you can click on your desktop, click on display settings. You notice mine is 1920 by 1080. Okay, it could be set here anyway, but that aside, so yeah, I've set this to look this way. Then let's see what we have. Let's refresh our screen and see what we got on the application page. Okay, so here I refresh and you see we have an image. So you see 1000 pixel is just a bit over half of my screen. So I might want it to use 100% of the screen, irrespective of the screen size. That is where the width. And then let me mention one more thing. You see the way this interface looks now. It's not responding to screen size, right? You see. So the image takes its position and sizing irrespective of the size of the screen on which it is displayed. For a landing page, that might not be very advisable. So I would say let's do width 100%, meaning use 100% of the screen for the width. So if I refresh, it takes up 100% of the screen. So if you notice resizing, it grows along with the size of the screen because it's size based on this 100% of the screen size. Okay, that's a simple interface. Now also in this tutorial, let's introduce CSS and styling. Now there are two types of styling in HTML or user interface building using HTML. There are two types of styling. The first type of styling is what we call inline styling. Inline styling, that simply means I can write my style in here using the style. Now there's the internal styling, but we will not be needing that right now for our application. But just to mention, the internal styling is where you write the style inside the header tag, okay, of the application. Inline styling is where you write the tag, the styling tag, within the element that you are styling, right here, just right here. Okay, while external styling is now when we use a separate CSS file. Most of the time, that's the styling you would have to use for most of the applications you develop, because even Bootstrap employs a lot of external styling and so on and so forth. So we'll get to that later. So let's look at what inline styling looks like. So inline styling means I could style by coming here to say style, the style tag equals to this. So I could say there are a lot of attributes to the style property. We could say font family. Now what does that mean? Font family is the font of the font of the text. Okay, the font of your text. That could mean, okay, let's check out something here. Right, so this is font. This is just Microsoft Word. This is our font. every font here is representable in HTML5. You could pick literally anyone. Let's say Cambria. Cambria is what we're interested in now. Okay, we could come here, say font family should be Cambria, a semicolon ends it. Once you do that, let's refresh the page and see what we got. So here you see the font changes, font family becomes Cambria. All right, then secondly, we could also want to change color, font size, and so on and so forth. So let's see what font size would look like. Font size, let's say 40 pixel, font size 40 pixel. And then let's also change font color once and for all. Let's say we try out green first of all. Okay, so I'm saying, let me get this. So I'm saying right here, I'm writing the H1 tag already. That's the online restaurant, a bold text on my application page. I'm setting font family to Cambria, setting font size to 40 pixel. Of course, if you don't like 40 pixel, you could size from there. Okay, you can use your imagination. So font color for right now is green. So let's see how this goes. So we refresh this. We say, font color did not change. What's the problem? Let's see what the problem is. Oh, not font color, sorry. That will be color, not font color. All right, so let's see this. And bam, we have our color. Okay, so the color attribute changes this to green. All right, so we take note of that. Now, this is not yet looking like the interface we were supposed to be, which is this. We have to move this here. Welcome to Dave's Kitchen or online restaurant. Then we have an order now button, clickable link here, and then a contact us link or any other link here. All right, so let's see how that goes. All right, so that means I would have to do some further styling on this our page here. Okay, so now let's do that. Now we're going to do that using external styling. External styling is also another way to introduce cascading styling sheet. External styling, I repeat, is when you use CSS file to size or change any kind of styling on your web page or web application. All right, let's see how that goes. So I would no longer need this. Let's give external styling a chance. All right, so let's do external. So for external, I would open up this screen again. I repeat, take on file here, then open. Takes you to the location where your application is. I create a new folder, and that will be CSS. So all my CSS files go in here. Okay, they go in here. So having done that, we click on this button, new, have a new file, save the file as save as, open the CSS folder. We're going to call this style.css. all right, how does this styling work now? First of all, I have to tell CSS a way to identify this that I'm about to style. Okay, I wouldn't need this centering. I'll do all the styling using CSS now. Okay, what I need is, first of all, you say ID for H1. Let's just call it H-text. Now the name could be anything. Now remember, you could have multiple H1s on this web application interface, but with ID equals H1, what we're saying now is that the identifier that identifies this particular element now is H1. So let's do something to H1 using CSS. All right, so cool. All right, so we come here. The way it goes is to identify what you want to style. You say hashtag H-text. Open your curly brace, close your curly brace, then the styling goes in here. Take note of this. Take note of this. All right, so now let's put those same styling we did inline can now be done here. So I want to do two things. By the way, I want to do two things. First of all, I'm moving online restaurant here, turning it white. Then I'm adding a button for people to either place order or log in or do a registration. I'm adding it here. All right, then I'm adding another button, let's say for viewing our gallery or something here. Then we'll write all the effects today. All right, let's get to work. So first of all, font family. Okay, let's deal with the color first. So it's a color white, since it's going to be on a black background white. We might also want to say position absolute. Position absolute simply makes our Any element given position absolute could hover over other elements while positioning it, unlike elements with fixed positioning. All right, so just say position absolute, color is white. Then so now another attribute we need will be the top property. So for top property, we are going to say, let's say 20%. Then for the left property, we'll say let's say 30%. So let's see what we got. All right, so this is just a simple styling here, first of all, for the interface. So what we're going to do here now is, this particular page knows nothing yet about this CSS file, so we are going to link them up. Now that's one of the that's one of the use of the head tag. So here we are going to put a tag here. We say link property rel equals to style sheet. This tells HTML the type of link we are creating. That's the style sheet. href will reference where is the location of the style sheet. That will be, remember, our CSS folder / the file style.css. okay, so when we have this, this file is now linked to this page. Therefore, this CSS file now styles this HTML page or this web application interface. Remember, HTML serves as a tool to build interfaces for your web application. So even if you went ahead to use any other language, Java, Python, PHP, or what have you, once an interface is supposed to be rendered on the web, HTML is the de facto language most of the time we'll be using to render that. Okay, let's see what we got with the styling. Let's refresh this. So you see, wow, online restaurant comes here. So let's say we want to move it backwards a bit. That's the left attribute. So to move it backwards a bit, we'll go to styling. Let's get left down to, let's say 10%. So you see, let's refresh. Online restaurant comes 10%. So let's move it up a little bit again. To move it up, top changes to 10% also. You notice we have it move up. All right, so it's up to you to put it in any position of your choice. Left could as well be 5. I don't mind. All right, so that's online restaurant there. Okie dokie. all right. Okay, so now this is it. That's the first thing. All right, so now we are going to be looking at some other CSS properties. There are a lot of CSS properties out there. So let's look at let's add something like a hover effect on this. A hover effect. So to add a hover effect, we want h-text to have a hover effect. So how we do that is we say h-text, hashtag h-text, sorry, with a colon that says hover. Now what are we trying to do here? Any attribute written here and property written here simply says that this is the effect that happens to this page when I move my mouse over it. Okay, so let's do that. Let's look at a couple of them. Let's say I want the color to change when I hover over it. We'll say color turns to blue when we hover over it. Okay, observe. We refresh it. When the mouse goes over it, it turns blue. All right, that's a nice one. So CSS really makes HTML look a little more interesting in the eye. Okay, let's also say want the font size to change when we hover over it. Let it change to, let's say 30 pixel, or make it a bit bigger for it, so it gets a bit bigger when we hover over it. Something else we might want the pointer, sorry, not the pointer, the cursor to become a web pointer. Pointer is when those hand-like icons come up when you hover over something. So we are manually creating it with CSS. It usually comes on when you use anchor tags, but we'll get to anchor tags. All right, so let's refresh this, and we notice the hand sign comes in and the size gets bigger and it turns blue. You see, so that's an effect. All right, so we wouldn't need the size thing, just have to show you how that works. So we'll just keep the blue and then the point, so you get the idea. So we refresh this and then we just have this. All right, that's the effect. Okay, okay, now let's add two more attributes. Let's look at how the anchor tag works. Let's look at how the anchor tag works. Now the anchor tag basically links your HTML page to another page. Okay, the HTML page to a new page. So let's demonstrate that. But before we do that, let's add a little bit of this, the order now and then the contact us. Okay, this could be to place an order, or let's call it login now, and then we'll call this our gallery, so to speak. Okay, login now. So to add that, same way. So we have a h1 tag here. So we'll call it login now. Of course, you could say order now. I don't mind. They're all the same. Okay. So did we style the font? This one don't have a font. So let's make this h2 going to be slightly smaller. Okay, h2 is a version of h1 that's just smaller. But in a case whereby you use the font size, it overrides the initial size of h1 or h2. Just for the records, just putting it out there. So let's just call this login text. Login text. So login text has become h1, has become a h2 tag. So this would be, let's call this our gallery, where you can probably view food gallery and so on and so forth. Could still place order from there. So login now, gallery, let's call this gallery. Okay, now styling time, login text and gallery. Your guess is as good as mine. Hash login text. Pretty simple. Let's also add hash gallery, because that's the ID. Don't forget that, gallery. All right, let's style now. Okay, first of all, we want this, we want them to be white, so it's going to probably look like h text. So let's just put this here. Okay, position absolute, that's good. Color absolute. Top 15. I want it to go a bit lower, so it doesn't stay exactly on the same spot with our online restaurant text. So let's move it a bit lower. Let's say 25%. Then for left, we could leave them in the same position. For gallery, let's say same thing. From top is going to be the same with login text. That makes it 25. I hope you guys understand. I repeat, saying top 25% means from the top of the screen down, it takes 25% of the screen length. From left, 10% means from the left here, 10% of the screen. The meeting point between top and left becomes the position of the icon or text or whatever you are positioning. That gives you a very manual kind of control over the position of things. All right, so we made it white. The top is 25. Left could not be. I wanted to move a little further forward, so that's what will take us to 20%. All right, let's see what our page got. We refresh this and we have gallery and login page. Interesting. So we now have to move them. I think I want the gallery to come down a bit, login page down a bit, but login page moves a bit further to the left. So let's say from top login text, we're going to go with 30. For gallery, we are also going to go with 30, which will make them come down a bit further. Something is wrong here. Only 1% should be here. So then to the left, we'll move this further 30. So let's see what we got. So it's up to you. You can set up your styling the way you want it to be. Okay. So for a hover effect, we could also give them a hover effect. Hover effect. Right, hover, color blue, and then pointer. This would be for login text. Same goes for the gallery. All right, with this we have our outcome is this, right. So this is a simple user interface. So now, how do we now make this login take us to an actual login page? Okay, that would lead us to something called an anchor tag. The anchor tag. Okay, so first of all, how does the anchor tag work? Anything I surround with the anchor tag, number one, that item becomes clickable, and then number two, the item becomes a link to another part of the web. It must not even be part of your application. I could link a text on my page to a page in Facebook. I could link a button on my app to a Twitter page. Okay, once the link does not need security protocols to access, it would successfully access it. Now we'll get to that when we start talking about PHP and login page and security and database and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's add an anchor tag to a login page. We're not going to build our login page now. We are concluding front end tomorrow. Maybe we are going to use it and talk about the login page and data forms and so on and so forth. Okay, that's the aspect of the front end code that we are likely to be meeting from time to time. Okay, so even while we're writing PHP, we're going to be dabbling into a lot of front end development to match the back end we are developing, so that PHP can handle the dynamic data that our applications are going to be displaying. More on that later. Okay, so now let's add an anchor tag. So an anchor tag will link. So first of all, open the anchor tag here, A, close the anchor tag here, /A. That makes login page ready for a reference link. That means someone can click login page and it takes them to another page of the application. Okay, right. So now to the attribute that does that is href, which is equal to, so let's say we have a page that will be called login.php. Now the page does not exist yet. It doesn't exist yet, so we have to create it. So I'll just do this, a new file, save as login.php, right? So we save this. Because I'm too lazy to type a lot right now, we are going to copy this, paste it here, and then I'll just get rid of the body, not the body. Yep. So this is simple. So just turn the title to login page, right? Instead of online restaurant here, we are going to have, let's say, user login, right? So this will not be htext. We already have something else using htext. So let's just say align equals to center. A simple page just to demonstrate how we can link up this page. So this is how we get our applications to interact with other pages in the application. All right, so let's see what happens now. Now we have login and we have this. This is okay. Anchor tag takes us to login.php, right? According to this. Yes, href login.php. All right, so let's do this. I refresh. The new code is loaded. So login. Notice gallery has no action on it. Restaurant has no action on it. But when I click on login, it takes me here, user login, and wow, that's it. So we can go back here, try login again. It takes us to user login. Now I'll give you guys a little task. See whether you can, just as something you can take on with you, see whether you can make gallery link up to a new page, just so I know whether we are all on the same page. And then if you wanted this login now to be linked to, let's say, a page online, like for example facebook.com, you could go https://www.facebook.com, right? That means login now will take me to a login page. Hence this hypertext transfer protocol for internet access. Okay, so that's basically it. So we'll leave it how it is. So I'll give you guys the task or an assignment to test out how to link to external pages on the internet, and also how to link in a page within your application. Okay, a little recap of everything we talked about today. Remember, today we started with explaining how the user interface is part of the application the eye can see with an example of this login page we see here. Then we also went ahead to look at the objectives, which is to add images, which we did, make things look pretty using CSS, talk about anchor tags for linking up multiple pages in the application. We also introduced HTML. Okay, then I said we would build this. Yes, I'm well aware we did not put this Facebook icon, but you, with the image tag and sizing, you can add it and then create a link that takes you to our Facebook page by clicking this. Okay, so that's what we did, and we also went ahead to now write the code to demonstrate all this. So that's exactly what I have for you today. Please, if you have any questions, you can type in the comment section, and please don't forget to comment, subscribe. It really helps. Thank you so much, and that's it for today on AGIT Codeworks. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial where we are going to look at some more interesting stuff on user interface design. Thanks. Do have a wonderful rest of the day.